Been confirmed, Rasmus Hojlund.
Rasmus Hojlund.
Rasmus Hojlund!
In the space of 1 month, Rasmus Hojlund has dramatically turned opinion from being viewed as the latest in the long line of Manchester United flop to now being touted as a superstar for the United team for years to come. After going over 1,000 minutes without scoring a Premier League goal in his debut season at Man United, the Danish international has now broken the record for the youngest player to score in 6 consecutive matches in the Premier League. But don't be mistaken, this rise to fame has not been accidental. In fact, it was only 6 months ago that Hojlund was being rampantly compared to global football superstar Erling Haaland. And since he's risen in form, these comparisons have been brought back to light. So where exactly did Hojlund garner such fanfare? Well, we start at the beginning. Rasmus Hojlund was born on the 4th of February 2003 to a family of athletes. His father Anders, a striker himself, played at the second tier of Danish football with side B93, while his mother Kirsten was an ex-100-meter sprinter for the lead athletics club in Denmark called Sparta. So the chances he would inherit strong athletic genes were strongly in his favour. And as predicted, growing up, young Rasmus succeeded in all sports, to the point where it was pretty much unfair. In fact, funny story, while he was at school, he actually competed in a 400-meter race. Now, his bandage on his finger became loose, so he went over to his mum, Kirsten, to fix it for him and retie it, and he still won the race. Yeah, this guy got talent. His talent was also apparent in swimming, where he was seen to excel in the sport. However, when it came time to pick one sport, he chose football, and it's safe to say this was the right choice. He played youth football in his region of Horsholm in North Copenhagen and Brøndby before moving to FC Copenhagen's youth academy at age 14. He made his debut 3 years later in October 2020 at the age of 17 against AGF in the Danish Superliga, and a year later scored his first ever goals at senior level, scoring 2 goals against Belarusian side Torpedoes Odino in the qualifying rounds of the Europa Conference League. He chipped in with 3 more goals in the competition. However, on the league front, he still only had 0 goals, which sounds oddly familiar. Now, to be fair to Hojlund, this wasn't exactly his fault. Out of the 16 league matches at the start of the season, Hojlund had only been selected in the starting lineup once, with his average minutes on the pitch being only 18 minutes for the whole of that season. A change was needed, so in January 2022, Hojlund made a move to Sturm Graz in the Austrian Bundesliga for 1.8 million euros. And I can tell you this right now, this move was the defining change that will shift Hojlund's career forever. Just to be clear as well, Hojlund was leaving a team where his 2 younger brothers, Emil and Odin, were developing at. And just to clarify any confusions, yes, there are more Hojlunds in the professional game, and yes, those 2 are currently in the first team at FC Copenhagen. The Hojlund gene is strong. Nonetheless, this was a big deal. Hojlund was leaving the comfort of his home in Copenhagen, as well as the security of a first team contract. You see, being in Copenhagen for Hojlund was the safest option. He has the opportunity to play for his local team, continuing to develop gradually within the first team, before eventually down the line getting an opportunity to be the main number 9. However, Hojlund did not like this option and felt a stagnation in his career, which prompted him to move. And rightly so, because in his first game for Sturm Graz, Hojlund hit a brace against WSG Tyrol in the league, and then went on to score in the next 2 games, tallying up 4 goals in his first 3 games for Sturm Graz. The decision was already reaping rewards for Hojlund, and the future was looking bright. The season did tail off a bit for Hojlund in the end. However, he still finished off a respectable 6 goals and 1 assist in 13 games. So essentially a goal contribution every other game. Not bad. Overall, the 2021-2022 season for Hojlund was pretty hectic, but the next season was about to get even more wild. At the start of the 2022-2023 season, Hojlund was on fire for Sturm Graz. He racked up 6 goals and 3 assists in his opening 8 games. At this point in the season, the transfer window was still open, and that's when an exciting opportunity arose. Serie A club Atalanta capitalized on this purple patch and signed the informed teen on a 5-year contract for a transfer fee of 17 million euros. Essentially 17 times what Sturm Graz had literally paid 6 months earlier. Things started promising at his new club, as in his first ever start for Atalanta, he scored his first goal in the league against Monza, and in his next start 2 weeks later, provided a crucial assist to beat Roma 1-0 away from home. However, this promising start did not stamp Hojlund into the first team. You see, Hojlund was brought in as a second choice striker to Duvan Zapata. Now, in all honesty, this was not surprising. Hojlund had come from Austrian league football to join a team in Atalanta who were consistently going for the top 6 of Serie A. So for development reasons, it makes sense not to just throw a young raw talent into the fire for a team like this. It just makes more sense that they'd be on the fringes of the first team awaiting their breakthrough. As in September 2022, he made his debut for the Danish national team against Croatia and France in the UEFA Nations League. Hojlund continued to do what he was instructed. He just kept his head down, trained, and waited for his opportunity. And wouldn't you know it, that chance came. You see, Duvan Zapata, remember the striker I was talking about earlier that Hojlund was essentially being an understudy to? Yeah, he was not having a good season. He had essentially missed a month of action with a hamstring injury and was failing to recreate the form that made him such a star for the Atalanta team. So, manager Gian Piero Gasperini decided in January 2023 Hojlund was going to be his man. And this is where Hojlund really made a name for himself. Hojlund went on a streak in January that saw him score in 4 consecutive matches, quickly shunning any thought that a break in the first team had come too soon. What was even more special about this was the manner in which it was being done. Hojlund had exuded a different level of confidence. He's shown he was capable of scoring in the past, but now it was the manner in which he was doing it. Operating in the front line mainly with Atalanta star Adriano Lookman, Hojlund had shown his ability correctly to occupy and create space, assist in build-up play, combine effectively with a strike partner, and drive at his opponents mercilessly. The last one is key because Hojlund was clocked in a Serie A match against Napoli, running at a top speed of 34.35 kilometers an hour. Hojlund was showing all the signs of a complete striker, something which is sought after heavily in today's market. He finished that season with 10 goals and 4 assists in 34 games. However, what was impressive about that was the fact he only started in 19 of those games that season, and 12 out of the 14 goal contributions had come after January when he got his break into the first team. Acclaims of the Danish Haaland were running rampant at the mention of Hojlund. Now bringing it back to Erling Haaland, unfortunately for Manchester United, when they tried to sign the Norwegian superstar, he rejected a chance to join them, instead opting to join for local rivals Manchester City. And since joining Manchester City, he's become an instant legend, breaking records left, right and centre, even recently breaking the Premier League scoring record for the season. And with all this, he's being held by many as the best striker in the world. So flipping it back on Manchester United now, there's a 20-year-old wonder kid at this time being dubbed as the next Haaland, sharing all the aforementioned traits as I just mentioned, developing a strong name for himself and gaining rave reviews, especially performing in one of the top 5 leagues in the world. The opportunity seemed too good to be true and way too good to pass up on. So, on the 29th of July 2023, Rasmus Hojlund signed for Manchester United in a deal worth £72 million, £64 million up front with £8 million in performance-related bonuses. In the process, becoming Manchester United's 5th most expensive signing of all time. This was a complete fast track to where Hojlund was 6 months ago, because over 6 months prior, he wasn't even the first team striker of Atalanta. Now, he was the marquee signing of Manchester United, one of the biggest clubs in the whole world, one of the biggest clubs in the history of football. Talk about a 0 to 100 story. Now, him signing for United should be a no-brainer. I mean, this is the next Haaland. Oh yeah, he should be hitting the ground running. I mean, Haaland only cost £51 million. Hojlund essentially cost £72 million. Oh yeah, he's gonna hit the ground running from the start. That's not exactly what happened. And to be perfectly honest, this was not Hojlund's fault at all. Even though there's references of him scoring goals and contributing to a team, his goal scoring record in his career has never been on par with Haaland. To put into context, his highest goal tally before moving to Manchester United was 10 goals. And those were the 10 goals he scored for Atalanta in the previous season before moving. Now as for Haaland, he had routinely been scoring 20 goals every season over the last 5 seasons, to the point where it's not seen whether Haaland might get to this tally, it's seen as when he's going to get to this tally, and essentially will get to this tally. And Hojlund showed how difficult it was to emulate this level of greatness. Now, skipping to the start of the season, Hojlund unfortunately missed the first 3 games with a back injury and eventually made his debut in the 4th match of the season off the bench in the 3-1 defeat to Arsenal. He did, however, start in his first UCL match for Manchester United and scored in the thrilling 4-3 defeat to Bayern Munich before finding the target twice, this time in a 3-2 defeat to Galatasaray. He returned to his former team FC Copenhagen after firing a blank in the reverse fixture at Old Trafford and scored 2 goals. However, it was not enough as Manchester United lost 4 goals to 3. Man, United really couldn't catch a break in the UCL. This poor form, of course, led to them being eliminated from the group stages of the Champions League with only 4 points in 6 matches. Not good at all. On the league front, things were worse for Hojlund. Not from a results basis, but from his goal contributions, as Hojlund had gone goalless for 14 straight league matches in a row, converting to just over 1,000 minutes. Thoughts of him being a flop were creeping into the minds of Manchester United fans and to fans of football all over the world, with the main question being, he could score in Europe, why not the Prem? Well, opinions about to be turned on their heads, as on Boxing Day 2023, Manchester United hosted high-flying Aston Villa at Old Trafford in what was a Premier League thriller. Now, Aston Villa raced ahead 2-0 with goals from John McGinn and Leander Dendoncker. However, Manchester United did not give up. They kept fighting and, to be fair, played some of their best football of the whole season. This then led to the inevitable goals from Alejandro Garnacho, who scored 2 goals, making it 2 apiece going into the final minutes of the match. And on the 82nd minute, it happened. Rasmus Hojlund scored his first ever Premier League goal, which was the winner, completing a 3-2 turnaround win for Manchester United against Aston Villa, sparking spine-tingling celebrations. And in those celebrations, a relieved and extremely jubilant Rasmus Hojlund. There's this saying that once you score your first goal, they all start flowing in. And I can tell you that Rasmus Hojlund has literally taken this with him into the new year. As in his next game against Tottenham, he got a goal and an assist. Then in his next game against Wolves, he did the exact same, got a goal and an assist, before following up with goals against West Ham, another goal against Villa, which essentially kick-started this whole run, and 2 goals in his most recent game against Luton, meaning he's become the youngest ever player to score in 6 consecutive matches in the Premier League. To put this into context, there's some greats in the Premier League who from their teenage years into essentially their early 20s never achieved this feat. I'm talking about players such as Cristiano Ronaldo, Wayne Rooney, Michael Owen, Robbie Fowler. I mean, there's a high list of very high level players and legends in this sport who did not achieve this feat, and Hojlund has. What's impressed me about Rasmus Hojlund has been his ability to turn around a state of not being able to score any goals in the league to him now being one of the hottest strikers in the league today. I mean, 1,000 minutes without scoring a single Premier League goal and you are your team's marquee signing. That does not help your mental state stepping onto a football pitch, and we all know that playing as a striker is the most difficult position on the pitch. Not only are you tasked with doing all the hard work in the modern day as a striker in the midfield and some parts in the defense as well, but up front you're tasked with scoring goals and getting in the back of the net. That's extremely difficult to do when you haven't had any reference of doing it in the past for your team. And yes, Hojlund was scoring in the Champions League, but there was this mental block in the Premier League that prevented him from scoring until, of course, the match against Aston Villa, and we saw how emotional and how proud and happy Rasmus Hojlund was. But I just want to make something clear. I understand the Danish Haaland acclaims. I understand the comparisons to Erling Haaland. I get it. Okay, these have been running rampant for the last 2 years before he even joined United. Just at the time when he was signing for Atalanta, these thoughts were coming out into light. But I just want to say this, that Erling Haaland is a generational talent and Rasmus Hojlund is not. Now, I don't mean to offend anyone. I don't want anyone to be offended by this, but there are things that Erling Haaland just has in his game and in his athletic being which are intangible. And I know that I brought comparisons that yes, Hojlund is extremely fast, so is Haaland. They both come from athletic families. They have family members who are footballers as well. I understand all that, and I did make those abundantly clear to you guys. But in looking at the games that they've displayed, Haaland is way more of a dangerous finisher than Hojlund. I mean, Haaland, as I said before, has been scoring 20 goals routinely over the last 5 seasons. I mean, he's been firing all cylinders for every level, whether it's international or club. And yes, Hojlund is improving and he's getting better and he's scoring goals, but it's not been to the level of Erling Haaland, and I can't put them two in the same league because Haaland's been doing it for far too long. He's won many awards, he's won many trophies, he's helped teams win many trophies as well. He's just on another level, and I can't make those two in the same league because it's not fair. It's just not fair to either one of them. It just isn't fair. Now, from the outset, yes, they do have certain similarities, as I said before, but when I look at Hojlund, I see other players in his game. I stated earlier how Hojlund has a cannon left foot. Now, when looking at this, of course, you'd think I'd be talking about Erling Haaland and his left foot, but when I look at this, I think of Adriano. I know that's completely controversial because you would not have thought about that, but hear me out. When Hojlund was at Atalanta, the kit they were wearing was blue and black, and that got me thinking, hold up, Adriano used to wear blue and black at Inter Milan. And when I looked at the work which Hojlund was doing for Atalanta, there were points at which he was going for long range shots, and there's some points where he's actually scored from long range as well. And I just thought to myself, oh my gosh, that's like Adriano. Him threatening from outside the box with a powerful shot, an insanely powerful shots, the type of shot that brings you out to your seat. It makes you wonder, oh my gosh, that had some real power on it. Not to mention his strength just to get through defenses and just absolutely bully defenders. That's a similar trait Adriano had when he was at Inter Milan in his prime, and I see it within Hojlund. I do see it within him, and I saw it in his time at Atalanta and how good he actually was in the games which he made a name for himself. Now, of course, I'm not saying that he was doing it at the level of Adriano, but just the traits that he was displaying and just the ability he was showing, it just made me think, hold up now, there's some Adriano in him. And to add on to this, I see other parts of his game more on the mental side and the intelligence side. These include the traits of one Robin van Persie. Now, Hojlund's even said that Robin van Persie has actually helped his game and improved his game in his understanding. It's actually been brought to light that Rasmus Hojlund asked for a meeting with Robin van Persie to discuss the many questions that he had about the game. And taking advice from a Premier League winner and a Premier League legend is by no means a daft decision. I mean, some of the factors when I think about Robin van Persie is purely his ability not only to create play, but also his ability to score goals and get into the right positions at the right time. Now, this could be demonstrated through Hojlund's most recent goal against Luton. The ball had essentially ricocheted into the box, and Hojlund was standing 7 yards, I say, in an acute angle of the goal. The ball popped up at his upper body. Now, the ball reached his upper body. He can't angle his foot to shoot the ball in any way. It's not possible. He can't angle his head down to head the ball because it's pretty much impossible for him to do so. So the only option is to turn his chest and get on target, and he did one better. He didn't just get on target, he scored. He turned his body at the right time, picking his moment at the right time to twist, thus allowing the ball to go into the far post of the net. And I know some guys will say, well, this was incredibly lucky, he didn't mean it. No, he meant it. He absolutely meant it. That was a high level goal, and that reminded me so much of Robin van Persie. Just his ability to be in the right positions at the right time. Whatever angle he had to take to get a goal, he'd do it. I've seen some goals from Robin van Persie where he's been at such an acute angle and he just whipped it top bins just like it was nothing. I remember the header he scored against Spain in the 2014 World Cup, where he essentially made memes of the Flying Dutchman with that header, which was unbelievable. Not a header you see regularly in today's game, just an absolute creative goal. And he's done many creative goals in his career, and Hojlund taking that and his ability to have the right positioning on the pitch in the final third to create chances and actually make things happen and score goals as he has in this recent run of form, it just shows so much of Robin van Persie's game, and the questions he was asking him were well justified because it's clearly helped him reach this level. So all in all, if this continues, I see Rasmus Hojlund becoming a real star for Manchester United, and especially the Premier League. And to be perfectly honest as well, this new core of players that Man United have, which include Alejandro Garnacho, Kobe Mainu, and now Rasmus Hojlund, if they keep firing on all the cylinders, along with the rest of the Manchester United team and whoever comes in to fill out the team, I see United reaching back the pinnacle what they once claimed and potentially becoming a dominant force in England once again.